I'm regenerating.
Hull and armour regeneration. This is where the hull points and armour points on our ship are repaired. How can we do that? Well, the first and easiest way is simply to dock your fleet at a starbase. Take a damaged fleet, dock it at a friendly starbase, that is one you own, an allied starbase, or a captured starbase, and it will automatically repair the ships in that fleet. But what should we do if our ships are severely damaged and we're very far away from a starbase? Well, there are some modules and admirals that can provide bonuses to our fleets which will enable automatic hull and armour regeneration far away from a starbase. That is what we're going to be looking at today, and we're going to see if those components are actually worth it. If you're enjoying this video, please repair that like button. The first and probably most common form of this is regenerative hull tissue. Now, in order to get this, you either need to study the Tianki space whales or the amoeba, or research some Tianki or amoeba debris. Then you will get access to the regenerative hull tissue technology. It's a society technology. You can research that and it will give you access to the component. This component provides +1 daily hull regen and +2 daily armour regen. The second and arguably much better component is the nanite repair system. This gives you +3 daily hull regeneration and +4 daily armour regeneration. 3 times as good at repairing hull and twice as good at repairing armour as the version you'll get from amoeba or Tianki space whales. You will need to find and defeat the scavenger bot Leviathan in order to get access to this nanite repair system technology. You'll then also need to be able to get nanites. You can get those from the L cluster if you have L clusters and L gates enabled in your game. Otherwise, basically it's impossible. The final shipborne module that can also provide daily regeneration to hull and armour is the nanobot cloud. You're only going to need to have Titan technology unlocked in order to get this, as it is one of the defensive auras you can have on your Titans. And last but by no means least is the engineer trait that an admiral can get. That is going to give you plus 0.5% daily armor regen and plus 0.5% daily hull regen. It's worth mentioning that any devouring swarm hive minds or terravores will also get plus 5%, will also get plus 0.5% daily armor regen and plus 0.5% daily hull regen. That is in addition to any of the other bonuses we're talking about here today. So now we know all the different methods of getting hull regeneration or repairing our ships away from our starports and starbases. We have to ask the question, are they worth it? Are these modules any good? Well, let's take a look here at our Dreadnought class battleships. So instead of the usual auxiliary fire control that I would go with, giving me a total of plus 10 to hit, which would increase the damage output of this ship by around 11%, what if we were instead to take something like regenerative hull tissue? Well, it's really important to know that this daily hull regen is actually only plus 1 hull point and plus 2 armor points per module, meaning that per day from these 2 modules we're getting plus 2 hull and plus 4 armor. This ship currently has a hull points of almost 5,000. That's also not taking into account the extra 1,600 I'm getting from technology, putting me up to a phenomenal 6,580. At a rate of 2 hull points per day, it's going to take me around 3,000 days for this ship to fully repair if it is damaged down to only a single hull point. That's a very, very long time in game. We're going to say welcome back to our old friends, the graph, and we're now going to take a quick look at a graph of repair times for ships with slightly different setups, be that having regenerative hull tissue, nanite repair systems, or the engineer admiral that I mentioned before. And you'll see that it's quite striking what is the most effective way of repairing your ships. So In clear last place, simply having regenerative hull tissue on our battleships with no hull upgrades and no crystal plating, which I suspect you'll probably have both of those on there. That's going to take around 1500 days or just under 5 years to fully repair one ship in your fleet. That would usually be plenty of time to fly back to one of your star bases, repair and move forwards to the front again. Or alternatively, if you've captured an enemy starbase, simply sit on that starbase, dock to it and repair there instead. However, the Engineer Admiral is actually fantastic because the amount that it regenerates is based on the overall hit points of your ship. That means it will never take longer than 200 days for any ship in any fleet with an engineer focused admiral to repair. That is better than regenerative hull tissue for battleships. That is better than nanite repair systems. Even if you were to put nanite repair systems, the Titan Aura, and also the Engineer Admiral on a fleet, you would still only be repairing it in around 150 days. That is only slightly better than just having the Engineer Admiral, and you would still have access to the fantastic things like the auxiliary fire control system. The differences become even more striking when we take hull upgrades into account. Here we are, the same graph with hull upgrades. Now that is well over 2,100, I believe it's 2,300 days to fully repair a battleship with just regenerative hull tissue on that battleship. Nanite repair system as ever does better, but you're still looking at around 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years to fully repair a ship. As ever, Engineer Admiral sits there nice and cozy at 200 days. Now, looking from the perspective of Corvettes, repair systems have some advantages. Corvettes have vastly lower hull points, but only half the number of auxiliary component slots. That means the effective rate of repair is going to be much higher. As you can see, if we simply have a Corvette with no hull upgrades, that's a hull points of 300. The regenerative hull tissue is going to take a long time, granted 300 days to fully repair, but that's still not overwhelmingly long. If we also look at something like the nanite repair system, that's going to be only 100 days. That's actually going to be better than getting an Engineer Admiral. And if we have an Engineer Admiral, the nanite repair system and a Titan Aura, we'll fully repair a completely damaged Corvette in only 55 days. Now, of course, I do have to take into account hull upgrades because later on, well, at the point you have Titans, you've almost certainly researched the 2 hull upgrades for your ship. So what does it look like then? Well, with the 2 hull upgrades, we go up to 500 hull points. With regenerative hull tissue, of course, that's going to take us 500 days. With the nanite repair system, we're getting closer to being equivalent to the Engineer Admiral. But if we get nanite repair system, Engineer Admiral, and the Titan Aura, the nanobot cloud, we are going to be repairing in around 80 days. That means that if you have a long-range fleet of Corvettes equipped for regeneration and repair, and you make sure to put the Engineer Admiral on there, you're going to be striking a lot of fear into your enemy's hearts. An Engineer Admiral and this nanite repair system will be able to do some very long-range duties without ever really needing to return home. Of course, you're going to actually lose ships when you engage in combat with Corvettes. That's very normal. So whilst you'll always have a fully repaired fleet on a ship-by-ship basis, you probably won't have a full fleet from the point of view of the number of ships in that fleet. Whilst engagement continues, you will whittle away at your own forces. I should also mention that at the high rates of damage you can get in this game, having a daily hull regen of +3, +7, even +15, let's say you go a bit wild, is going to have very little effect on the overall health of your ships. A couple of well-placed neutron launchers are going to wipe your ships out before you've had only, a few days to repair them. So these repair systems are only effective outside of combat, And even then, you're probably going to want to just go with the Engineering Admiral because that's so much better in most cases for most ships, due to the fact it is a percentage recovery rather than an absolute numerical recovery of hit points. So what is my verdict? What do I think about them? Well, basically, I think you might have guessed so far, I don't think the modules are ever really worth it on your ships. You can get the same effectiveness from the Admiral that you can from the components, and it is much better to use those slots for other modules. The opportunity cost of not taking something like the auxiliary fire control in this case I think is massive, and means that it is basically never worth having these repair systems when a properly trained Admiral can do a better job. If you'd like to know more about Titan design and which auras are great to use, click the video on screen now.